How's it going, people? Salmon Slapper here, and this is Runescape lore. It's been a while since we had one of these, and we're going to be covering the 6th Age. Well, it's been a while since we've done this, actually. Can't remember what the last one was. I think it was the 2nd Age we covered. We ran over it in a different kind of format, and this is the 6th, which has never been done before. And the reason why I'm doing this now is, well, it's been around for a while now, and, well, there's a few stuff to cover. There's a bit of history, like some of the major quests and things like that has actually happened during the 6th Age, and I figured, why not, you know what I mean? If people are coming back now because Legacy mode as well, you might find it interesting, and it'll keep you up to date with everything that's gone on. So either way, this is the 6th Age kind of overview like thingy-madoodah. So let's get into it. So obviously starting off in the 6th Age is the tribute to Guthix, and this 6th Age actually started because Guthix died. So, from following the death of Guthix, Kakimix, leader of the Turbulent Order of Druids, spreads the news to the world that Guthix has officially died. Some Druids decide to remain in the Order and preach Guthix's ways though, rather than worshipping him. Two of these such people are Runestacks and Memsticks, and they decide to create a memorial for the late god near Falador using rune essence donated by thousands of people. At this time, fragments of Guthix's memory are also released. However, strangely enough, they're released in forms of butterflies, which you do end up seeing flying around at the time. Even the Anima Mundi mourns his death by literally crying. Other druids aren't quite so able to deal with the events, and simply decide to leave the Order. One such druid, named Bean, or Bain, forms an organisation, his friend, the heroine Karamia, and they decide to call this organisation the Godless. And the Godless consists of various former Guthixians and many other people who simply straight out oppose the other gods fundamentally. So I'm going to go off on a bit of a tangent here with the Godless. So the Godless is an organisation founded shortly just after the end of the 5th Age, just after Guthix dies, when the former followers kind of unite with an old hero and they decide to form it. Their main philosophy is that they do not want gods on Gielinor, and they state their goals as a desire to defend Gielinor from the gods whilst protecting the innocent. Their ideas resemble that of Guthix in a way, or what Guthix originally wished for, I should say. Although they may follow some of his teachings, this faction, however, is not Guthixian in nature. Although some may very well be former Guthixians, the name was the idea of Karamia, who suggested it instead of Bain's name, the Anti-Theists. So the Godless themselves, they kind of Guthix himself had the idea of having everything balanced. He didn't really want gods to be involved or anything like that. But even then, the gods were still partially involved since they kind of controlled some of their followers and that kind of thing. And Guthix, well, he kind of did nothing about it. You know, if you've seen the rest of these RSLores, he kind of just sat back and whatever was basically his stance until at least the 3rd Age when he booted everybody off. But even after that point in time, you still had many factions of different gods, and because of that, warring nations started to come about. I mean, humans wouldn't be fighting goblins for the most part if Bandos didn't go and completely and utterly annihilate their planet and take it over. When I say annihilate, he destroyed it compared to what it used to be. But yeah, the Godless follow a similar faith, except for the fact that they literally do not want anything whatsoever to do with gods. So they'd probably quite happily kill off all the gods if at all possible. So those are the Godless. This is a new faction no one's ever heard of before the 6th Age, so I figured I should run that off. Anyway, back on point. So soon after the death of Guthix and the tribute to Guthix and the Godless coming apart, you then had the resurgence of the god activity, since Guthix was now dead and his edicts go along with him. With the breaking of the edicts, the gods and their followers have begun to become active once more in various ways. Saradomin, as you may well already know, returned immediately after the death of Guthix, and soon after went to the Icenic realm to plan ahead. Meanwhile, Zamorak also appears by creating a large portal just to the west of Lumbridge to escape the rift. Apparently Zaros and he also independently begin to test the world's boundaries by sending flocks of demons forth, who cause havoc on several occasions, and groups of bandit gangs within the wilderness soon symbolically affiliate themselves with gods to ascertain their profit in the upcoming events. Additionally, missionaries as well as emissaries from 7 gods, and one for the godless themselves as well, soon begin to spread their belief around Misthalin and Asgardia, in hope that they'd gather more followers. One faction, however, is able to recreate an ancient relic helm with the aid of their allied adventurer. So it's due to these resurgence of the gods and the fact that they've now come back into the world that the Wilderness Warbands came about, which is basically all the bandits and kind of rebels and stuff within the wilderness decided to affiliate themselves with different gods, and due to this they kind of scrap up in the wilderness. At the same time, because of Zaros and Zamorak both kind of working together, yet at the same time not, they start trying to test how far they can push the world. And that is where you start to see the demon flesh mobs, or flash mobs even, start to come in. That's why you'll see them popping up. So either way, moving on to the next one. So as you probably all know if you was around at the time, soon after the gods resurged, it wasn't long until the Battle of Lumbridge soon took place. And this is where Zamorak returns from Daemonheim and begins to harvest Gathixian energy near Lumbridge. However, because he was doing this, he was soon stopped and confronted by Saradomin. This caused a massive battle to erupt, destroying parts of the Duchy of Lumbridge, and their magical attacks soon caused a large explosion, turning the lush forest around the area into just a seeping crater with divine energy. Both gods soon then erect their own encampments and summon reinforcements to the field. Zamorak, as you probably already know, is affiliated with the Kintra, and his main army was led by the Kintra. But, surprisingly enough, the main lieutenant you actually saw on the battlefield was Moya, and it's clear that Moya evidently survived her adventure with Bilrak into Daemonheim. However, Bilrak we still haven't heard of, so assuming he's perished. Saradomin, as you probably already know, has the army of the White Knights, and he brought these into the field, and these were led by his general Padomenas and Ician. And soon later on in this battle, as it started to erupt further and further, demons, centaurs, golems, behemoths and lions soon joined the battle. All the while, Duke Horatio of Lumbridge was desperately attempting to try and protect his already broken down town from further harm, even having to call in on the aid of Falador and Tavali. However, this battle ends, although it does end 10 weeks later, with Saradomin actually appearing as the victor, managing to overpower Zamorak and his minions. Due to this fight, Zamorak was grievously wounded, but he was rescued by Moya before Saradomin finally had the chance to actually kill him. Their followers soon disperse afterwards though, but the damage inflicted to Lumbridge, yeah, that's going to be around for a while. So the next is the Wand of Resurrection that kind of resurfaces within the 6th Age. And this has been a long time coming. After 5 years, Lord Decurious' men finally managed to decipher the location of the ancient weapon specified in the Holy Book, stolen during the siege of Falador. He commissions its retrieval by sending a witch by the name of Lensig to assist Captain Dulcazin. In opening a portal to the Tomb of the Fallen, secretly also tasking her with the cruel and misogynistic captain's assassination. Saradomin, however, somehow managed to find out about this, and soon finds himself the Temple Knight by the name of Sir Owen, along with a Temple Knight proselyte. However, this proselyte is also the World Guardian. Saradomin tasks these two with infiltrating the Kintra's fortress, and they were told to obtain this weapon before the Black Knights can. This actually goes successfully, all until Lensig reveals herself in the tomb and takes the weapon, the legendary Wand of Resurrection. She took this, planning to use it for herself by creating an army of undead with it. Before killing Sir Owen, the proselyte soon ends up killing Lensig in revenge, and then takes the wand from her. However, he's soon confronted by Saradomin, and although we're not clear on the details, something happened during this point as they confronted each other, and Saradomin eventually takes it from him. And in turn, Saradomin decides to try and revive his Temple Knight, Sir Owen. However, this didn't go all to plan, as Owen came back as a half zombie. However, due to this, Saradomin soon tasks him with his next assignment, and this assignment was for him to leave on a mission to resurrect the Centaur race. So not long after this confrontation between the World Guardian and Saradomin, divination is soon discovered. A group of human pioneers led by an outcast of the Fairweather family discover that the Anima Mundi has been damaged by the Battle of Lumbridge. However, they also find out that residual divine energy of Guthix, as well as fragments, if the shattered edicts of Guthix, have manifested themselves into wisps. And these wisps can be found all around the world. They also found that they could be siphoned from in order to receive divine energy, which may subsequently be released into craters to heal the Anima Mundi, or woven into various useful items. This was researched by Faze and Augur. Additionally, they did discover more fragments of Guthix's memory. These were studied by May Stormbrewer. In the same year, after establishing a shaky peace treaty with the Barandir Trolls, King Veldeban of the Dwarven Realm launches an assault on the Red Axe's base. Unaware that their director, Hreidmar, had been given up his plan to overrun the city, Veldeban, aided with his human friend, decides to take his army and takes them over to the Chaos Dwarf lava flow mine before pursuing Hreidmar and his right-hand man, Grimson. After incapacitating the ogre shaman Grunch, the two confront the suicidal Hreidmar and Grimson in the former private palace and manage to defeat them with Chaos Dwarves in combat. Afterwards though, the adventurer chooses between having Veldeban remain the king or to step down. We're unaware of these facts. Either way, the odd thing is, some people have reported that even the drunken dwarf somehow managed to become king. So we're not entirely clear on the details of who is actually now the leader of the dwarves. And it wasn't long before this time that Sliske decides to announce his grand ascendancy. So Sliske, being the one that actually killed Guthix and started the 6th Age, finally makes his appearance. And in doing so, Sliske hijacks Armadyle's Empyrean Citadel and decides to host an event he would call his Grand Ascendancy. After ascertaining the attendance of several gods, including his nemesis Ixthlarin, to which end he had kidnapped Herald Death, the Majora reveals to have actually obtained the Stone of Jazz, which was hidden after the last ritual of rejuvenation. And soon, as Sliske does, begins to hold a contest offering the stone as a reward to whoever is able to slay the most gods by the next solar eclipse. Afterwards, he releases the Dragonkin Strisseth. And it was this Dragonkin that he actually stole the Staff of Armadyle from. And he released it upon the other gods, causing them to flee from this citadel. However, weirdly enough, only Brassica Prime decides to remain, either oblivious to the events that transpired or simply so overpowered that a Dragonkin means nothing to him. It was after this grand ascendancy and the beginning of the contest the Sliske decided he'd host that Bandos attempts to conquer the world once more. This, however, prompted Armadyle to assemble an army to stop him. And soon, as you'd expect, the two gods did indeed clash, and they decided to clash within Misthalin and Asgarnia. They also dispatched caravans to gather divine energy from nearby. These caravans were used to load their weapons to kill each other's opponents. The Godless, however, also joined within this battle, ambushing both factions, and after 6 weeks of mortal combat, Armadyle's forces have gathered enough divine energy to fuel his divine focus, and he then proceeds to fire such an immensely powerful spell at the war god Bandos himself. Unsuspectingly, Bandos is hit by the attack and killed upon impact, with his head flying off. His tower is also annihilated. And, at the end, Armadyle ends up taking Bandos' mace and soon leaves the battlefield. What he's doing now is your guess just as good as mine. So next is some rather big news of the 6th Age, and that's the return of Zaros. So Zaros ends up recruiting Azanadra, Sliske and the Adventurer to help bring him back to Gielinor from the realm of Freneske. The Adventurer uses the World Gate to travel to Freneske, dodging dangerous obstacles along the way, all while being guided by Zaros. The adventurer and him fight off monsters throughout the elder god Mars nightmare, and the adventurer makes use of his skill in divination in order to harvest Mar wisps. However, the adventurer was given a decision where he could either fully restore Zaros or bring him back, however injured. We're unaware of what this World Guardian eventually chose, whether he decided to fully restore Zaros or restore him partially injured. Either way though, we do know for a fact that Zaros did indeed return to Gielinor. Though banishing Sliske for his betrayals, Zaros then sends his followers on different tasks throughout the world, and soon it slips out of our grasp, and we're unaware of what he's actually up to right now. Next is the next kind of war within this time, and that's the contest that appeared between Brassica Prime and Marimbo. Sometime after Marimbo's return to Gielinor, both she as well as Brassica Prime observed that the recent fights between the other gods looked fun, so in turn they decided to have one for themselves. As such, they recruited a local farmer and set up camps on the side of Saradomin's camp from the Battle of Lumbridge. They then had a weird contest with each other, applying a game within a dungeon beneath the fields, until ultimately Brassica Prime was victorious, despite interference from Holstein as well as the Godless. So that is almost everything. The only thing left is the elves moving into action. And this is very recent, and I'm sure there's plenty more to come after this, but for now this is all the info we have. So the Elvenkind soon move into action, and Arianen and the World Guardian are first to step in. It seems at the time the dwarfs finally managed to clear the path in the corridor of light that they've been waiting for many years. They infiltrate a Death Guard encampment through this corridor, only to find themselves to appear within Privithinus' borders, and soon they begin investigation. Seeing the Death Guard was in the city alight, they decide that they must counterattack, and they soon start an uprising within Western Ardougne and eradicate the Death Guard within Ardougne's borders. However, this was not the end of it, as eventually they must turn their sights on one of the main perpetrators behind the Iorwerth schemes, the King of East Ardougne. So with their force, they successfully move into East Ardougne and rout the Death Guard as well as King Laethus from Ardougne, and begin setting up operations to enter Privithinus. However, we've heard various rumours about what happened in the castle during this time. Some say that the World Guardian executed King Laethus, others say they simply banished him from the lands. I guess only time will tell. However, soon after banishing King Laethus, the World Guardian soon has to begin gathering the 6 lost elven elders, and he needs these elders to join him within the expedition to Privithinus. Simultaneously, in order to bolster their attack strength against the Death Guard themselves, they decide they'll try to recruit General Hiding from the Terrace camp, and this was in order to act as a distraction against the vanguard, whilst a small elite group of the elders and the World Guardian themselves would move to perform a ritual to prevent the Iorwerth from finally summoning the Dark Lord. Once everything was set up, the fighting soon begins, and whilst the main forces begin to intercept one another, an elite covert team soon infiltrate Privithinus' library where the ritual to summon the Dark Lord was said to take place. However, they find themselves being slightly too late, and the Dark Lord soon appears within this chamber. The World Guardian is soon forced to act, and soon a hectic bloody battle takes place, all while still trying to complete the ritual to seal the Dark Lord once more. The World Guardian eventually comes out victorious, and the threat of the Dark Lord has been quashed. Now, the only thing left is the threat of the Iorwerth, at least for now though, it seems to have been dealt with. The ancient standing gates of Privithinus are finally within reach of all of Gielinor to marvel at. Such a thing has not been possible since long, long ago. But who knows what may come in the future after all. This is a perilous age where elder gods, and exceptional weird beings all are working together, or for their own individual agendas. I guess the only question is, who will be the first to make the next move? And what and how will the World Guardian be involved? Is this simply the beginning of the end? Or is it simply the beginning of something incredibly unfathomable? Either way people, that is the 6th Age for you. many different factions going all across the board, all with their own individual agendas, and it is completely up in the air what is actually going to happen. Of course, we haven't actually heard from the Elder Gods or anything yet, for the most part. I say for the most part because you never know what's going to happen, people. And Zaros did give us a warning after all, so who knows? This could be the beginning of the end, or the beginning of the beginning. Time will tell, people. Time will tell. Either way, I hope you all enjoyed that episode. That was the RSLore on the 6th Age, up to this point anyway. If you're watching this miles in the future, then clearly this is out of date. Calm down, people. So either way, I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, I will catch you all later. Have a good one.